The Ardovian armada descended from the skies like metallic locusts, their obsidian hulls reflecting Earth's blue oceans as they positioned themselves over major population centers. No warnings, no demands, just sudden, methodical extermination. Commander. Elowen Vask stood on the bridge of her crippled vessel, the ESS Dauntless, watching Sydney burn. Blood trickled from a gash above her eye, but the pain was nothing compared to the anguish tearing through her chest. Across all communication channels, reports flooded in of similar attacks worldwide: Beijing, Moscow, New York, Lagos, all facing the same merciless onslaught. "Casualty estimates coming in, Commander," Lieutenant Reardon Kavik's voice cracked as he read from his display. "Initial projections show..." He paused, swallowing hard. 300 million and climbing. Elowen's knuckles whitened as she gripped the console. 300 million souls, in less than 6 hours. "Any response from the Ardovian command?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. "Nothing, Commander. They're ignoring all hails." The ship trembled as another explosion rocked the Sydney harbor below. The Ardovians, a species humanity had never encountered before today, had arrived with technological superiority that made Earth's most advanced weapons seem like children's toys. "Get me General Casimir," Elowen ordered, her voice steady despite the chaos, "and patch in whatever's left of the Security Council." Minutes later, grim faces filled the view screen. General Ilario Casimir, his usually immaculate uniform now torn and dirty, nodded grimly from what appeared to be an underground bunker. "Commander Vask, good to see the Dauntless survived." "Barely, sir. What's our status?" "Catastrophic." Casimir didn't sugarcoat it. "Our orbital defenses are gone. Ground-based weapons ineffective. We've lost contact with 70% of our military command structure." A woman Elowen recognized as Director Malus and Jerry of the Global Defense Initiative spoke next. "We've managed to capture one of their scout vessels. The science team has made a discovery you all need to hear." The feed switched to a haggard scientist, Dr. Orion Pride, standing before what appeared to be alien writing. "We've partially decoded their battle language," Dr. Pride explained, eyes wild with a mix of terror and fascination. "They call us the Dormant Plague. There's repeated reference to something called the Valkyrie Incident, apparently an encounter with humans some 8,000 years ago that ended badly for them." 8,000? Elowen questioned. "That's impossible. We weren't capable of space travel then." "Not us," Dr. Prade clarified. "Our ancestors. There's something else." He hesitated. "Their tactical assessments show they expected minimal resistance. They believe humans are naturally docile creatures who achieve technology through luck, not ingenuity." A cold silence fell over the command channel. General Casimir finally broke it. "They think we're weak." "Yes," Dr. Prade nodded. "And that's their critical mistake." Elowen felt something shift inside her, rage crystallizing into resolve. Throughout human history, from the earliest tribal conflicts to the global wars of the previous centuries, humanity had demonstrated one consistent trait. When cornered, humans didn't surrender. They evolved, adapted, overcame. They've awakened. "Something they don't understand," she said quietly. "Director and Jerry, what about Project Prometheus?" The director's eyes widened. "That's still theoretical technology, Commander." "Not anymore," Elowen replied. "Authorize it. Now." As the discussion continued, Elowen gazed out at the burning city below. The Ardovians had calculated everything except the human capacity for ingenuity born of desperation. They had studied human history, but missed its most important lesson. Humanity's greatest innovations always came from its darkest hours. "If we're going down," she whispered, "we're taking them with us." Little did the Ardovians know. They hadn't attacked a planet of victims. They had kicked a hornet's nest that had been evolving for millennia specifically to survive extinction-level threats. Earth's rage was about to be unleashed. Dr. Lysithea Morov had spent 15 years being called mad by her peers. Now, as she stood in the subterranean laboratory beneath the Ural Mountains, those same colleagues watched in reverent silence as she activated Project Prometheus. "Quantum entanglement matrix stabilizing," announced her assistant, Farron Knox, monitoring fluctuating holograms with practiced precision. Neural interface synchronization at 87% and climbing. At the center of the chamber, suspended in a field of pulsating energy, floated what appeared to be ordinary military-grade exoskeletons. But these were far from ordinary. These were humanity's desperate gambit. The Ardovians based their attack. "Strategy on our conventional weapon systems," Lysithea explained to the assembled military leaders. "They never detected Prometheus because it operates on principles they don't understand, linking quantum mechanics with human neurological patterns." General Casimir stepped forward, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the equipment. "In plain language, Doctor, we're turning soldiers into weapons that can manipulate the quantum field," she replied. "The suits aren't the weapons. The pilots are. Their thoughts, amplified and externalized through quantum entanglement." Halfway across the world, Commander Alawan Vask's damaged vessel limped into the secure underwater dock at Facility Omega. As she disembarked, she was met by Director Nyeri herself. "Walk with me, Commander," the director said without preamble. "You've been selected for Prometheus." Alawan matched her stride. "With respect, Director, I'm a naval commander, not a test pilot." "This isn't a test anymore, Commander. This is deployment." Nyeri's eyes were hard as flint. 4 hours ago, the Ardovians destroyed our last major military installation in North America. The death toll now exceeds 1 billion. The number struck Alawan like a physical blow. 1 billion. Gone. "The candidates we've selected share a rare neurological marker," Nyeri continued. "Out of 7 billion humans, only 53 have the potential neural plasticity to interface with the Prometheus system. You're one of them." They entered a chamber similar to the one in the Urals. 7 exoskeletons hung suspended in the center. "These are the Mark 7 Prometheus suits," a technician, named Revna Kaldar, explained, approaching with a tablet. "Once the neural link is established, your intention becomes weaponized. Think of moving an object. The quantum field responds. Think of disrupting molecular bonds. Matter destabilizes." Alawan stared at the gleaming technology. "You're telling me these suits turn thought into reality?" "Within limits," Revna cautioned. "The quantum effect has range constraints and requires immense concentration. And the neural load—" She hesitated. "It's substantial." "How substantial?" "Potentially fatal with extended use." Before Alawan could respond, alarms blared throughout. "The facility! Director Nyeri rushed to a communication terminal. They've found us," she announced, her voice deadly calm. "Ardovian forces approaching. ETA, 4 minutes. Alawan looked at the Prometheus suit, then back to the director. "I need 2 minutes to link." "You have one," Nyeri replied. As technicians rushed to prepare her, Alawan thought of Sydney burning, of 1 billion lives snuffed out, of humanity on the brink of extinction. Across the globe, similar scenes played out as the few dozen Prometheus candidates were hastily linked to their systems. In the Urals, Dr. Lysithea activated her own suit, becoming both creator and weapon, when the Ardovian assault forces breached. Facility Omega, they expected to find cowering humans. Instead, they encountered Alawan Vask, suspended in a corona of quantum energy, her mind now a conduit for physics-defying power. The first Ardovian soldier fired a plasma weapon. Alawan merely thought, and the energy blast froze mid-air, reversed, direction, and returned to its source with amplified force. Deep in her neural link, a cold clarity washed over Alawan. The Ardovians had studied human history, but missed its essence. Humans weren't just survivors. They were innovators who turned disadvantage into deadly advantage. Outside the facility, the Ardovian warship commanders watched in confusion as their ground forces' signals went dark one by one. Humanity's counterattack had begun. Ardovian High. Commander Vrexel stood before the tactical display aboard the dreadnought Inexorable Judgment, mandibles clicking in frustration. The holographic battle map that had shown methodical conquests just hours ago now displayed anomalous disruptions across multiple theaters. "Explain," he demanded of his chief strategist. "Unknown, High Commander," replied strategist Kelzoth, antennae quivering with uncharacteristic anxiety. "Ground forces report encountering resistance unlike anything in our intelligence profiles. Energy signatures that defy our sensor capabilities." Vrexel's compound eyes narrowed. "Show me." The display shifted to fragmentary visual recordings from ground units. Blurred images showed what appeared to be humans surrounded by disruptive energy fields, moving with impossible speed, dismantling Ardovian war machines with mere gestures. "Magnify that segment," Vrexel ordered. The image enhanced, showing a human female suspended midair, her hands directing what appeared to be the very fabric of reality. Around her, Ardovian soldiers disintegrated as molecular bonds simply ceased to exist. For the first time in his illustrious military career, Vrexel felt a sensation approaching fear. "The Valkyrie archives warned us," Kelzoth whispered. "They spoke of the dormant potential." "The Valkyrie were primitive," Vrexel snapped. "They encountered hunter-gatherer humans and still barely survived. Yet they left explicit warnings about human adaptive capability," Kelzoth insisted. "The exact phrase was evolutionary response to existential threat." Thousands of miles below, Elawan Vask led a small team of Prometheus operators through the ruins of Paris. Each step left quantum, distortions in her wake, reality itself bending to accommodate her enhanced neural commands. "Commander," came Dr. Lysithia's voice through their quantum-entangled communication, undetectable by Ardovian technology. "We've analyzed the captured scout ship's navigational data. The Ardovian fleet comprises approximately 300 vessels, but only 30 are capital ships with planetary destruction capabilities." Elawan processed this as she gestured toward an approaching Ardovian patrol, causing their molecular structure to lose cohesion. "We need to coordinate our attacks. Even with Prometheus, we're outnumbered." "There's more," Lysithea continued. "We've discovered why they fear us. 8,000 years ago, a small Ardovian research team encountered early humans. Something happened. Something that made them classify us as an existential threat, despite our primitive technology." "What could prehistoric humans possibly have done to terrify a spacefaring civilization?" asked Cade Nikos, another Prometheus operator. "Moving alongside Eloan, we don't know exactly," Lysithea replied. "But their records repeatedly reference human adaptive evolution rate as cosmologically abnormal." As they reached what remained of the Louvre, Elawan spotted something unexpected, an Ardovian commander, more ornately armored than the soldiers, orchestrating the systematic destruction of human cultural artifacts. "They're targeting our history," Elawan realized aloud. "Not just our population centers or military installations, they're trying to erase our cultural record." A new understanding dawned. The Ardovians weren't just attempting genocide, they were attempting to erase humanity's legacy from the universe. With a thought, Eloan created a quantum barrier around the remaining structure, freezing the Ardovian forces in a time dilation field. Inside, the alien commander watched in horror as she approached, untouched by his weapon fire. "Why?" she demanded, projecting her thoughts directly into his neural system, another unexpected capability of the Prometheus link. "Why erase our history? Trapped and unable to resist the neural intrusion, the commander's thoughts flowed into Eloan's consciousness. Images flooded her mind. Ardovians encountering early humans in Mesopotamia. The humans, despite their primitive technology, displaying unusual adaptability. A simple virus, harmless to humans, mutating with unprecedented speed after human contact, decimating the Ardovian research team. Most disturbing was the final realization from the Ardovian studies. Human neural patterns showed evolutionary development, thousands of times faster than any other known sentient species. The Ardovian scientists had calculated that unchecked human advancement would, within 10 millennia, create a civilization capable of technologies that defied current understanding of physical laws. Prometheus was the proof. Humanity had taken merely 8,000 years to evolve from stone tools to quantum manipulation. "They're not attacking us because they hate us," Eloan whispered to her team. "They're attacking us because they've calculated that we'll inevitably surpass them." The Ardovian commander's final thought image showed the real reason for their day assault. A predictive model showing human evolution eventually leading to complete mastery of matter, energy, space, and time, rendering species like the Ardovians obsolete. They weren't exterminating a threat. They were preventing their own evolutionary replacement. The underwater base known as Sanctuary Deep trembled as Director Njeri led the assembled Prometheus operators through mankind's final contingency plan. Above them, the oceans boiled as Ardovian. Capital ships positioned themselves for a final bombardment of Earth's surface. "Project Nexus," Njeri explained, gesturing to a massive spherical chamber at the heart of the facility. "The theoretical extension of Prometheus technology." Dr. Lysithea stepped forward, her face gaunt from continuous neural link usage. While individual Prometheus operators can manipulate local quantum fields, Nexus is designed to create a collective consciousness, merging your quantum-enhanced minds into a single entity capable of planet-wide effect. Eloan studied the nested rings of neural interface chairs surrounding a central pylon of technology that seemed to shimmer between states of matter. "You want to merge our minds?" "Not permanently," Lysithea clarified. "But the combined neural processing power of 7 fully linked Prometheus operators might achieve what we're calling quantum dominance. Not just manipulating reality, but rewriting physical laws within Earth's gravitational influence." Cade Nikos, his face scarred from a recent engagement with Ardovian forces, voiced what everyone was thinking. "This hasn't been tested." "No," Lysithea admitted. "The neural load of individual Prometheus operation is already at human tolerance limits. A merged consciousness might kill us," Eloan finished flatly. "Almost certainly," Lysithea didn't sugarcoat it. "But it's our last option. Conventional forces are gone. We have 27 active Prometheus operators worldwide, and the Ardovians have adapted their tactics. They're keeping their distance and preparing for orbital bombardment." The facility shook again, more violently. "Perimeter breach," announced Revna Kaldar from a monitoring station. "They've found us. 10 minutes, maybe less." Director Njeri surveyed the 7 operators in the room. "I can't order you to do this. The risk isn't just death. It's something we don't fully understand. Consciousness dispersal across quantum states has never been attempted." Eloan looked at her fellow operators, Cade Nikos, Lysithea Morov, Revna Kaldar, twin siblings Oriel, and Cypress Reza, and the taciturn former physicist Maven Wolf. Each had already pushed their bodies and minds beyond normal human limits. Each carried the psychological burden of thousands of kills. "If we do nothing, humanity ends today," Eloan said simply. "I'm in." One by one, the others nodded their agreement. As technicians hurriedly prepared the Nexus chamber, Eloan caught Lysithea aside. "There's something you're not telling us." The scientist hesitated. The Ardovian commander whose mind you linked with, his knowledge confirmed something I've theorized. The Prometheus technology isn't actually new. It's an emergent capability of the human brain that's been dormant, waiting for the right trigger. You're saying we always had this potential? Exactly. The quantum interface doesn't give you these abilities. It just unlocks what was already there, deeply buried in our evolutionary code. The Ardovians were right to fear us. We're not just another sentient species. We're something else entirely. Before Alawan could process this revelation, alarms blared throughout the facility. "They're here," Revna called out. "Multiple breach points." The 7 operators took their positions in the neural interface chairs as technicians worked frantically to initialize the Nexus protocol. Around them, the sounds of battle grew closer as the facility's defenders engaged the Ardovian assault. "Force. Neural synchronization beginning," announced a technician. "Quantum entanglement matrix active." Alawan felt the now familiar rush of the Prometheus link, but this time it extended beyond herself, tendrils of her consciousness reaching out to the others. She sensed Cade's ironclad resolve, Lysithia's brilliant analytical mind, the twins' perfect synchronicity, Maven's abstract conceptualization of quantum fields, and Revna's meticulous attention to detail, full immersion in 3, 2, 1. Reality shattered. Alawan was everywhere and nowhere, her individual identity simultaneously preserved and expanded beyond recognition. She was herself, she was the others, she was the quantum field that permeated all existence. Through their merged consciousness, they perceived the entire planet at once. They saw the Ardovian fleet in orbit, weapons primed. They felt every surviving human heartbeat like stars in a constellation of life. And they understood, with perfect clarity, humanity's true place in the cosmic order. Aboard the Ardovian command, Dreadnought, High Commander Vrexel received increasingly frantic reports from ground forces. "All units at the human facility have gone silent," reported Kelzoth. "And we're detecting an energy signature unlike anything in our records." The sensor displays flickered, then stabilized to show a pulsating sphere of energy emanating from beneath the ocean. It expanded rapidly, engulfing first the immediate area, then the entire continental shelf. "Full retreat," Vrexel ordered immediately. "All ships, break orbit." But it was too late. The energy sphere continued its expansion, at an accelerating rate, defying all physical limitations. Ship after ship attempting to enter faster than light transit found their drive systems inexplicably non-functional. Within the Nexus, the 7 merged consciousnesses had transcended individual limitation. Time flowed differently in their perception, each second of objective reality allowing for subjective centuries of thought and calculation. "We are becoming something new," Elowen's voice echoed through their shared mind space. "The Ardovians were right to fear us," Lysithia's consciousness agreed, "but wrong about why. We aren't a plague. We're an evolutionary fulcrum." Their merged consciousness expanded further, encompassing Earth's entire gravitational field. They could feel every atom, every energy wave, every quantum possibility within their sphere of influence. With collective intent, they began to rewrite reality, the laws of physics within Earth's sphere bent to their will. Ardovian weapon systems found their energy dissipating harmlessly into alternate quantum states. Their hull materials suddenly possessed different molecular properties, becoming permeable to Earth's atmosphere. Massive Ardovian ships, pride of their interstellar fleet, drifted helplessly as their technology failed under new, localized laws of physics that the humans were writing moment by moment. In orbit, Vrexel watched in horror as his mighty armada became nothing more than elaborate coffins. "What is happening?" he demanded, though no one on his command deck had answers. A communication signal penetrated their systems, impossible given their security protocols. On every screen throughout every ship in the Ardovian fleet appeared a simple message in their own language. "You misunderstood us." Within the Nexus, the 7 operators had made a discovery that changed everything. The Ardovian fear of human potential had inadvertently triggered exactly what they had sought to prevent, a quantum evolutionary leap in human capability. We need to show them, Elawan's thought resonated through their collective. Not destroy them. Agreed, came the unanimous response. With delicate precision, they reached into the quantum structure of the Ardovian flagship and reconstructed a portion of its command deck. High Commander Vrexel suddenly found himself standing in what appeared to be a version of his own vessel, but facing 7 humans suspended in fields of swirling energy. "We could annihilate your entire species with a thought," came a chorus of voices speaking perfect Ardovian. "That is what you feared. That is why you struck first." Vrexel, to his credit, stood tall despite his fear. The simulations were correct. "You have become what we feared." "No," replied the human collective. "We have become what you misunderstood. Watch." They opened Vrexel's mind to the totality of human history, not just the wars and conquests that Ardovian intelligence had focused on, but the art, the music, the poetry, the small acts of kindness, the great acts of sacrifice. The endless human drive not just to survive, but to create meaning. "We are not a plague," the humans explained. "We are not conquerors by nature. We are explorers and creators who fight with unmatched ferocity only when threatened." They showed him Earth's complex ecosystems, how humans had evolved as part of a delicate balance, how the same adaptive capability that made humans dangerous had also created societies built on cooperation and mutual protection. "Your attack has awakened something dormant within us," they continued. "But it need not lead to your extinction." With that, they reversed the quantum damage to the Ardovian fleet, restoring their systems to functionality. Every ship could now leave, but not with weapons operational. "Go," the human collective commanded. "Tell your people what you have learned. Earth will remain closed to you until you return in peace." As Vrexel found himself back on his actual command deck, he gave the order to retreat. The mighty Ardovian armada, which had arrived to exterminate a supposedly inferior species, fled from Earth's orbit like leaves before a hurricane. Within the Nexus chamber, deep beneath the ocean's surface, 7 human bodies remained seated. In their neural interface chairs, their minds still merged in a collective consciousness that continued to evolve beyond anything previously imagined. They had become humanity's guardians, and its gateway to a future beyond conventional understanding. 1 year after what became known as the Ardovian incursion, Earth was transformed. The 7 who had entered the Nexus, now called the Ascended, had not returned to their individual states. Instead, they existed as a collective consciousness that maintained a constant quantum field around Earth, a shield more impenetrable than any conventional defense system. Revna Kaldar's physical body still sat in her neural interface chair, but her consciousness, along with those of her 6 companions, had spread throughout Earth's quantum field. Occasionally, they would manifest as energy projections to communicate with humanity's leaders, but their true existence now transcended physical form. Director Njeri stood at the observation window overlooking the Nexus chamber, where medical teams continued to monitor the unchanging physical forms of the Ascended. "Any change in neural patterns?" she asked Dr. Pred, who had become the lead scientist on what was now called the Ascension Project. "None that we can detect with conventional equipment," he replied. "But the quantum field they generate continues to evolve in complexity. They're still thinking, still conscious, just not in a way we fully comprehend." Around the world, humanity rebuilt from the devastation of the Ardovian attack. 3 billion lives had been lost, nearly 40% of Earth's population. Yet from the ashes arose something unprecedented, a unified human civilization. National boundaries remained, but the shared trauma and the protective presence of the Ascended had fostered a planetary identity stronger than any previous conception of global community. Under the guidance of the Ascended, human technology advanced at an exponential rate. The Prometheus technology that had been limited to a select few with rare neural markers was refined and adapted. Within months, modified versions became available to assist in reconstruction efforts. Quantum engineering, once theoretical, became the foundation of a new technological revolution. In the Himalayan valley that had once housed a small monastery, now stood Convergent City, Earth's first true megalopolis designed with quantum-enhanced architecture that responded to the needs of its inhabitants. At its center rose the Ascension Spire, a structure that seemed to exist partially in normal space and partially in quantum states, serving as the primary communication point between humanity and the Ascended. Inside the spire's uppermost chamber, holographic representatives from Earth's Unified Council gathered for their monthly consultation with the Ascended Consciousness. The Deep Space Monitoring Network has detected movement at the edge of our solar system, announced Counselor Iskra Vazov. The profile matches Ardovian vessels. The air in the center of the chamber shimmered, coalescing into a humanoid form of pure energy. The current manifestation of the Ascended Collective, incorporating aspects of all 7 original consciousnesses, but speaking primarily with Elowen's voice patterns. "We are aware," the manifestation stated. 3 scout vessels observing from just beyond Neptune's orbit. They have made no aggressive movements. "Are they a threat?" asked Counselor Dayu Feng. "They are messengers," the Ascended replied. "The Ardovian Governance Collective wishes to establish communication." The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. Despite a year of rebuilding, the wounds of the Ardovian attack remained fresh in humanity's collective memory. "After what they did?" Counselor Vazov's voice rose above the others. 3 billion dead, and they expect us to talk." The energy form shifted, now incorporating more of Lysithea's features. "What they did was based on fear and misunderstanding. What we did in response has fundamentally altered their understanding of humanity." "What we should do," said a new voice as the chamber doors opened, "is finish what they started." General Casimir strode into the chamber, followed by several military officers. In the year since the incursion, he had become the voice of those who believed humanity should use its new quantum capabilities to ensure no alien civilization could ever threaten Earth again. "The Ardovians struck without warning or mercy," Casimir continued. "Now they see our strength and suddenly wish to talk? This is merely tactical repositioning." The Ascended manifestation shifted again, features blending between Maven and Cade. "Your perspective is understandable, General, but limited. We have observed the Ardovian civilization continuously since their retreat. Their society is undergoing a profound philosophical crisis. The beings who attacked us were acting on millennia of flawed understanding." "Understanding?" Casimir scoffed. "They attempted genocide." "Yes," the Ascended acknowledged, now resembling Cyprus and Oriel simultaneously. "And they must face consequences. But annihilation is not the path humanity should choose." The energy form expanded, filling the chamber with gentle light. When it spoke again, it was with a harmony of all 7 voices. "We have seen beyond the limitations of human perception. The universe is filled with sentient life, millions of civilizations at various stages of development. Some have achieved technologies beyond even what we now possess. Others are just beginning to explore their own star systems." Images appeared around the chamber. Strange worlds, bizarre life forms, magnificent cities built by non-human hands. Humanity's place in this cosmic community is not as conquerors or avengers, but as something unprecedented, a species whose rapid evolution allows us to serve as bridges between different evolutionary paths. The Ascended continued, "The Ardovians who approach now are not the same beings who attacked us. They come seeking understanding of what they witnessed, a species transforming itself in response to existential threat, but then choosing mercy over retribution. General Casimir remained unconvinced. And if they're lying? If this is merely preparation for another attack? Then they will fail, the Ascended stated simply. Our defensive capabilities now exceed their offensive ones by several orders of magnitude, but we have seen into their minds, General. They come in genuine search of reconciliation. Director Njeri, who had remained silent until now, stepped forward. What do you recommend? Allow them to approach. Hear their message. Show them that humanity's strength lies not just in our ability to fight when threatened, but in our capacity for forgiveness and growth. The council chamber fell silent, as humanity's representatives contemplated this guidance. After several moments, Councillor Feng spoke. If we ever hope to join the wider galactic community as equals rather than isolationists, we must demonstrate both strength and wisdom, she said. I move that we accept the Ardovian request for communication. One by one, the councillors voted. The motion passed, though not unanimously. As the meeting concluded, the Ascended manifestation approached General Casimir privately. Your caution serves humanity well, it said in Ilawan's voice alone. Never lose it, but remember what we learned in the Nexus. Humanity's greatest strength has never been our weapons or technology, but our adaptability and creativity. Casimir's stern expression softened slightly. I remember Commander Vask saying something similar before you became this. She said humans don't just survive, we transform challenges into advantages. Exactly, the manifestation smiled. The Ardovians attacked because their simulations showed humanity eventually surpassing them technologically. What they couldn't simulate was that when truly threatened, we wouldn't just advance our technology, we would transform ourselves. The general nodded slowly. I still don't trust them. Nor should you completely. Trust must be earned, but the path forward requires both your vigilance and the Council's openness. As the Ascended faded back into the quantum field, Casimir gazed out the spire's windows at the rebuilt city below. Quantum-enhanced structures gleamed in the sunset, while transport vehicles moved in perfect synchronization through the air. Children played in parks where adaptive vegetation responded to their movements, creating natural playgrounds that shifted and flowed. In just 1 year, humanity had not merely recovered, it had begun to flourish in ways previously unimaginable. The Ardovian attack, intended to extinguish human potential, had instead accelerated it beyond anyone's predictions. From the quantum field surrounding Earth, the collective consciousness that had once been 7 individuals watched over humanity's continuing evolution. They had become something beyond human, yet remained humanity's children and protectors. The Ardovians had been right about one thing. Humanity's potential had indeed been dormant. But now it was gloriously, irrevocably awake, and the universe would never be the same. As the Ardovian delegation's ship approached Earth's orbit under careful escort, the visitors gazed in awe at what humanity had become in just 1 planetary rotation. The quantum shield surrounding the planet pulsed with impossible energy, while structures defying conventional physics dotted the surface. High Representative Mivara, daughter of former High Commander Vrexil, stood on the observation deck, mandibles clicking nervously. Her father had returned from the failed invasion a changed being, spending his remaining days advocating for a complete reevaluation of Ardovian understanding of sentient evolution. Now she carried his final message, an offering of peace to a species that by all rights should have hated them beyond reconciliation. As their vessel passed through the quantum shield, an act only possible because the Ascended allowed it, Mivara felt a presence enter her mind. Welcome, said 7 voices in unison. Your journey marks the beginning of a new chapter for both our peoples. When the ship landed at the newly constructed Convergence Diplomatic Center, Mivara was met not by angry humans demanding retribution, but by a delegation of Earth's representatives standing alongside a shimmering energy form that somehow incorporated features of 7 distinct individuals. "High Representative Mivara," greeted Director Njeri, "Earth welcomes you in peace." Mivara performed the Ardovian gesture of profound respect, a posture her species reserved for encounters with entities of vastly superior power. "I come bearing my father's final wisdom and my people's deepest regrets. We attacked not what you were, but what we feared you might become. And in doing so," responded the ascended consciousness, "you precipitated exactly the transformation you sought to prevent." "Yes," Mivara acknowledged. "We understand now what my father learned in his final days, that your species' greatest strength is not your technology or your resilience, but your capacity for transformation in response to challenge. You did not merely survive our attack. You transcended it." The ascended manifestation approached her. "And now you seek understanding." "More than understanding," Mivara replied. "We seek atonement. The path will be long, but we are committed to it." As humanity's representatives and the Ardovian delegation moved inside to begin formal discussions, the ascended consciousness expanded its awareness back to encompass Earth's entire quantum field. Within their collective mind space, Ilawan's consciousness addressed her companions. "They came back just as we predicted." The first of many, Lysithia's consciousness agreed. "Our scans have detected 17 different civilizations observing Earth from various distances. The news of what happened here has spread." "And what happens next?" asked Cade's consciousness. The merged awareness of the 7 expanded further, reaching beyond Earth's immediate vicinity, touching the quantum fabric of space-time itself. In the distance, they sensed cosmic currents of consciousness, other ascended species who had evolved along different paths but reached similar states of existence. "We are not alone in our transcendence," Maven's consciousness observed. "But we may be unique in how we achieved it. Through existential threat rather than gradual evolution," agreed Revna's consciousness. "The Ardovians forced us to become what might have taken millennia to achieve naturally." As the diplomatic proceedings continued below, the Ascended turned their attention to a distant signal they had been monitoring, a desperate plea from a civilization under attack in a star system 200 light-years from Earth, another species facing extinction at the hands of conquerors. "Shall we intervene?" asked Cyprus and Oriel's twinned consciousness. The collective considered this question with their vastly expanded intelligence. Humanity had suffered greatly, had transformed profoundly, and now stood at a crossroads. Would they become protectors of other developing civilizations, or would they focus inward on their own evolution? Both, Elowen's consciousness decided, with the immediate agreement of the others. "We will show humanity the path to the stars not as conquerors, but as guardians." In the quantum field surrounding Earth, microscopic distortions began to form. The beginnings of what would become humanity's first true faster-than-light transportation system. The Ascended were laying the groundwork for humanity's expansion beyond their solar system, but with purpose and wisdom that would have been impossible before their transformation. 5 years later, Earth's first quantum-enhanced exploratory vessel, the ESS Prometheus, prepared to depart for the star system where they had detected the distress call. Though the journey would take only days using the quantum corridors the Ascended had created for the civilization under attack, it might already be too late. Their signal had taken 2 centuries to reach Earth. Commander Najila Casimir, daughter of General Ilario Casimir, stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, gazing at the shimmering quantum portal that would take them beyond humanity's cradle for the first time. "Are we ready for this?" she asked the Ascended manifestation that had appeared beside her. The energy form, currently displaying features reminiscent of Elo and Vask, smiled gently. No species is ever truly ready to become a guardian of others. But humanity's unique path has prepared you better than most. Because we know what it means to face extinction. Because you know what it means to transform suffering into wisdom, the Ascended corrected. The Ardovians attacked out of fear. Many humans wanted to retaliate out of anger, but instead, you chose understanding. That choice, that capacity, to evolve beyond the cycle of violence, even when violence would be justified, is what makes humanity worthy of this next step. Throughout the vessel, crew members made final preparations. Many were survivors of the Ardovian attack, carrying both physical and psychological scars. Yet here they were, venturing into the unknown not to conquer or exploit, but to protect another species from suffering the same fate they had nearly experienced. The universe is not inherently kind, the Ascended continued, but it can be made kinder by those who have known both cruelty and compassion and chosen the latter. Commander Casimir nodded, then turned to her crew. Quantum drive online. Portal stabilization at 100%. All departments report ready status. The Ascended manifestation began to fade. We will be with you, though you may not always sense our presence. The quantum field connects us across any distance. As the manifestation disappeared completely, Commander Casimir gave the order, "Take us through." The ESS Prometheus entered the quantum corridor, becoming the first human-crewed vessel to travel faster than light. Behind them, Earth continued its remarkable transformation under the guidance of the Ascended. Before them lay a galaxy filled with both wonders and dangers, and a civilization that, like humanity not so long ago, faced annihilation and had sent out a desperate plea to the stars. They did not know if they would arrive in time to save this unknown species. They did not know what challenges awaited them beyond the quantum corridor. But they went forward carrying humanity's newfound understanding that the most powerful force in the universe was not the ability to destroy, but the capacity to transform, to take extinction-level threat and transmute it into transcendent potential. Attack humanity, face annihilation, not because humans would destroy you in return, but because the very attempt would catalyze an evolution beyond your comprehension. Earth's rage had indeed been set free, but it had been channeled into something far more powerful than mere vengeance. It had become humanity's ascension. As the Prometheus disappeared into the quantum corridor, the 7 consciousnesses that had once been individual humans monitored its journey while simultaneously maintaining Earth's defenses, guiding technological development, and communing with other transcended entities across the cosmos. They had become humanity's guardians, humanity's guides, and humanity's gateway to a future limited only by imagination itself. And somewhere in the vast quantum field that connected all existence, Ilawan Vask's consciousness whispered the truth that the Ardovians had failed to understand. Humanity's greatest weapon had never been its technology or its ferocity. It had always been its boundless capacity for transformation.